Hello and welcome to the Entrepreneur in You and Territorium Petron series on entrepreneurship. I'm here with Linda Tran. Linda is an adjunct professor at Diablo Valley College. She's worked on several different projects such as Cascade and NASDAQ, and we're happy to have her here today. So Linda, thank you very much for being here.
It's my pleasure to be here, Mike.
So let's start a little bit just about your background. Where are you from, and tell me a little bit about your education.
Sure. I was born in Vietnam and we immigrated here in the 80s when I was a very young child. I grew up in San Francisco, and since then I pretty much live in the South Bay and the East Bay. And I also go to school here in the Bay Area colleges. I did my undergrad studies at San Jose State University and my MBA at Cal State East Bay.
Do you find that an MBA actually helps you in business?
Absolutely. The MBA definitely have helped me in business for a few reasons. For instance, let's look at job listings. For any senior management positions, a typical requirement is a master's degree and 5 to 10 years relevant experience. That's the threshold. And it's a highly competitive job market, so a master's degree is certainly more attractive to potential employers. A master's degree shows potential employers that we have specialized industry knowledge. And sometimes a master's degree can be considered in lieu of 4 to 5 years of work experience. And on top of that, I built a network and friendship in my master program that is invaluable.
So one of the things I recommend to my students is that you go to school in the area you want to work because of that networking opportunity, right? So you have all of the people that you go to school with who can then help you get jobs or be business partners later. Do you find the same to be true?
Absolutely. That is the same with my graduate experience. Unlike undergrad, the special experience of a graduate is even if we're not in a cohort, we end up taking a lot of similar classes. So we're able to build and develop relationships over those 2 years in school.
Your focus is on finance. And one of the things that you mentioned to me before was that when you started teaching, you were baffled by the lack of financial literacy that students have. Can you kind of talk to me about that experience and also, what students can do to be better financially literate?
Sure. When I taught Intro to Business, what I did was I infused a chapter of personal financial management. In that chapter, which is a span of only a week, as you know, in Intro to Business, we cover a lot of areas: entrepreneur, HR management, leadership, marketing. So in just 1 week, we tried to add in a section on personal financial management. We study credit cards, budget, balancing, insurance, housing, estate planning, retirement. And what was fascinating was students would say that, well, if they wish they had known this sooner, or that how the class in just a matter of that 1 week, it has transformed their way of thinking and personal spendings. For instance, one of the formula that we cover in this week of personal financial management is Alexa von Tobel's simple 50-20-30 plan. What does that mean? It is suggested that 50% of your take-home pay should be spent on essentials such as your mortgage, your rent, utility, groceries, and transportation. 20% should go into the future, such as savings for emergencies and retirement funds. And the 30% is for your lifestyle, such as travel, shopping, and eating out. So as soon as we cover that, we had a few raised hands where students mentioned, I'm so glad I hear this because I just was spending all the money I had.
That's something that I've been struggling with my whole life, is not spending more than I can. And I think especially where it's expensive to live, like the Bay Area, or, I used to live in New York as well. It's very difficult to keep money in your pocket without overspending. So can you give us maybe some tips or tricks on how not only an individual can help not spend as much, but also maybe an entrepreneur? How does an entrepreneur keep money in the bank for the future?
I think that we are still in an age of over-consumerism and overspending, and we tend to have instant gratification. The first thing I would recommend is to be mindful of our instant gratification and refrain from impulsive purchases. So live below our means and not above our means. If someone has credit card debts, to pay off those high interest credit card debts first. If someone again is in financial debt, to pay more than the minimum payment each month. Normally people pay once a month, but you don't have to limit yourself to paying your credit card once a month. you can pay it twice a month. So double your payments to your credit card company. Pay for new purchases in cash. So we have a tendency to spend more when we swipe our credit cards. And also take advantage of 0% credit card balance transfer if that is available. So if a person finds themselves in bad financial habits, is to really sit back and reflect what are your priorities. Are your priorities being able to provide for your family, own a house, purchase a vehicle, give to charity? So when someone sits back and think of those things, I don't think that buying the latest designer clothing or the latest shoes or anything that is the latest is urgent for most people. So know your priorities and then make it a priority to build good spending habits.
Linda, you want to talk a little bit about compounding interest?
Sure, Mike. Compounding interest is the interest an investor earns on their original investments plus all the interest earned on the interest that has accumulated over time, which means that you earn interest on interest. So here's an example of how powerful compound interest can be. If an individual have $1,000 to invest and they are earning a simple interest of 5% annual. So we're talking about simple interest, not compound interest. So on that $1,000 for the first year, 5% of $1,000, you make $50 of interest. Second year, since it's simple interest, you make $50 again on the second year of interest, and so forth. On the third year, you make another $50 on a 5% simple interest. So over 3 years, somebody that invests $1,000 would earn $150. So at the end of the 3 year, they would have $1,150. Now compare that to compound interest. The first year, an individual put in $1,000, they make 5%. So now they have $1,050. The second year, they earn 5% of $1,050. So on the second year, the interest is now $52.50. And on the third year, they would make 5% interest of the new balance, which is $1,102.50. So at the end of the third year, they would have $1,157.63, which is greater than $1,150 on a simple interest. Now, if you would only add a few zeros behind those numbers, and you can see the powerful effect of compound interest.
It's like that penny conundrum, right? Where would you want a penny to double every day for the rest of your life, or do you want 100 grand in the bank? And most people say, give me the 100 grand. Where if you had a penny that doubles every day, by the end of 10 years, you're going to have over $1 million. But that's the difference between compounding and simple interest, right?
Correct.
What about in terms of a business? What would you say to a clothing store who may only make a certain amount a month? Would you suggest that they diversify into maybe another business or open a separate type of account? Or how would the owner of that business plan for the future?
So for a lot of small business owners, what we notice is that they also lack the information to building their personal finances. So for a small business owners who is doing okay, a similar advice is to always have enough money set aside for rainy days, for emergencies. So on a personal sense, it's always recommended that you have 6 months of your expenses for emergencies. For a small business owner, it goes the same way. If we're speaking of small business owner, which is actually the case for a lot of our students.
Right. It's almost as if your principal advice, if I'm paraphrasing it correctly, is, start saving immediately. Start saving from before you even begin the business. Keep some money aside so that when you get those rainy day issues come up, that you put it aside and that you aren't going to go out of business.
Yes.
Is there anything that you would recommend that you do when you're maybe considering bankruptcy?
Bankruptcy is such a hard decision. It's such a devastating period for so many people. And unfortunately, as you know, as professionals in that industry, we do have clients who need that relief. And it is really hard for some people to even have bankruptcy as a consideration. But of course, in the end, the law is designed to allow people in extreme financial distress to have a fresh start.
President Trump filed for bankruptcy 4 times. So, it's not uncommon for business professionals to, even the president, to file for bankruptcy. So I think that stigma is preventing a lot of people from seeking the relief that they so desperately need. You're doing something with Intuit. You want to talk a little bit about it?
Yes. I'm so glad that Diablo Valley College has been selected as one of 10 community colleges nationwide to participate in phase 2 of the National Association of Community College Entrepreneur. I know that's a long name, but it's basically it's NACCE. And in collaboration with Intuit's Financial Management Curriculum Initiative, the goal of this pilot project is to empower future entrepreneurs with the right financial management tools and skills to make their long-term business success. So as you know, Intuit's flagship products are TurboTax, Quickens, QuickBooks, and Mint. And I'm pretty familiar with those products. So this Intuit program helps expand our entrepreneurship ecosystem and provide our students the experience to learn the financial management using Intuit's products for free. And as part of this project, both the students and educators are provided with the free Intuit products such as QuickBooks, TurboTax, and Mint. So students will benefit tremendously.
Wow. And how are you involved in that?
So I'm leading this project and I'm the main contact representing Diablo Valley College. What I will be doing is the 10 educators representing the 10 schools nationwide will participate in a training late this July where we would practice using their financial modules and we will teach each other how to teach using those financial modules. And we will give feedback to Intuit. And then after that, in the fall, we are able to infuse that curriculum into our class. And all professors at their discretions are able to infuse those modules into their class as they deem appropriate.
That's wonderful. It sounds very exciting. I'm glad you're the person spearheading it. What are you working on right now that you'd like to share with us?
I am currently researching and considering doctorate programs to further my studies and contributions to academic life. That's basically one of the exciting things that happened over the last 3 to 4 months of COVID, being home mostly, staying home and doing that research. And I think that it will help me to help our students in the long term.
You have any entrepreneurship or business quotes you like?
Yes, I do. So I actually like to share a very fruitful conversation I had with Dr. Lena Tran, who is the VP of Strategic Partnerships and Workforce Innovation at San Jose City College. So among some of the things that we talk about career choices and directions. And Dr. Tran shared with me the question she always asks her students. So imagine you have a house, you have a car, you have a family, and plenty of money in your bank account. Everything you ever wanted. You
Okay.
wake up in the morning. What will you be doing?
Probably exactly what I am doing.
That is fantastic. You love what you do.
Yeah, I do.
That's fantastic.
It's been a journey, at least for me. What about you? What would you do?
So being asked that question at different points in my life would have elicited different responses. I think if I were my 20, I would be probably rolling my eyes and thinking, you're right, I'm struggling, trying to survive. But at this intersection, I'm like, oh yeah, what would I like to do? And like you, I am doing what I would like to do.
That's great. A mentor of mine said, write your own obituary. Right? Sit down and write your own obituary and imagine that you live to 80 and write out all of the amazing things that you did in your life and then make it happen. If you think about all of the things that you want to do, it helps you to look at it from the perspective of somebody who is no longer with us to accomplish it, right? It makes you get out and do more. Linda, it's been absolutely fantastic talking to you. I could do it all day. Thank you very much for being with us and for all that you do for the college and the institution in general. I really appreciate it. Thank you guys for joining us at Entrepreneur and You. We'll see you next time.